was raised on the farm. And how many of you know what lister ridges are? Well, back then you didn't have big machinery, so you had to figure out economical ways of working. So the lister cuts the fur and throws it like this, and then you plant your corn or calf corn in those furrows. Well, that's a lot faster than the other kind of work. So Dad planting some calf corn, and he was listing, and I was planting it with a planter. They had 2 little mules. And he got through and went on up to the house, a quarter of a mile away up the hedgerow, and I finished planting. I got through and stopped the mules and went over in the hedgerow to get we always carried a jug of water, put it in the frayed shade, you know, and hung that water jug on the mule's hand, started around to get back on my planter. About that time, a big dog I had, always with me, jumped out of the cotton picket hedgerow and scared those mules. They took off, and I just barely caught the planter. I never caught the lines at all. I think I could have stopped them. And he started out across those ridges. Well, brother, that's hard to drive. So we went on up, finally came back on the road, and I still couldn't use the lines, because they were flopping, you know. And my father, for some reason or other, he had to go up here like that and turn this way and go down to the barn. For some reason or other, he's out there. And when we got up there, those mules saw him and turned and went down the lane. Well, if I'd been team horses, they'd still been running. They went down that lane. I was flopped. At that time, I was flopped with my head on the ground.
Hitting every one of those ridges.
Sprockets that turned the feeder wrapped around my leg, the scar still there. And I laying there like that, and those mules were running. You know what? He hollered at those mules and they stopped. But I did pretty well in there.
No matter what happens, don't ever lose your faith.
You what?
I said, no matter what happens, don't ever lose your faith. But that's the only thing that takes care of it.
The military gives you a chance
to grow up, be on your own.
To accomplish something. It gives you a chance to be a soldier. And by a soldier, there's more ways than just being there. Just like I told the 2 corporals, golly, I just can't say enough for it. Yes sir, no sir, you know what I mean? Just a closed boy, just sparkling. I mean, they took it seriously. And there's good soldiers and bad soldiers. And if you take it, if you don't go in there with the right attitude, forget it. In the first place, you better. But
Tell him when
I was lucky. We were going to move forward with our batteries. Colonel took the commander with him, looked for new locations. Got up there to this spot, he said, told me to take them and go hunt for some pots. So I got my Jeep and these 2 other officers. We started out, went through this village, and I saw a spot over there that looked like I could put a battery. So I told the driver to stop. And I got out and walked across the ditch to the field. That Jeep, heard a bang! I looked back, and the men were all, the 2 men officers, they were in the ditch. Everybody was out of the Jeep. So I went on over and looked at the position, and came back, and looked at the vehicle, right through where I was staying, right through the windshield, into that seat where I'd been sitting. The bullet hole.
Bullet hole. Wow.
So we're back, we went on back where the colonel was. You look at that, he's from the south. Sprout, you all living on borrowed time. For some reason or other, my battery was used for most everything. And sent me out to forward observer for the battalion. And I was up at this church steeple, in a little town about 5 miles ahead of the battery, stuff like that. And here's a line like this. On this side, we'd gone clear to the Rhine River. On this side, we had not moved. All this was Germans. All in there was German. Pillbox, have you heard of them?
Made out of concrete.
They're concrete masses, look like a
Igloo.
old shaped thing.
Looks like an igloo.
Wells in them, and everything, complete. And they
You
couldn't
can
take
live
that.
in it.
The English couldn't take this area here. We went clear to the Rhine. Well, I sat right here in the middle of this thing. There was no infantry in front of me, period. And I said, "Here reports the battalion what took place." So one day I noticed the powder shot about 1,000 yards out there. I was up at church street with my men. I had a crew of men down in the basement. And I looked at that and I saw it. I didn't like it. So the next day, they brought one in about halfway. The third day, they let me have it. Blasted my communication back to my battery out. Killed one English soldier, was bivouacked there. And if he didn't get me, he can't. It's hard to hit a point with a. You're not aiming a rifle. I can't think what they call it. Anyhow, they couldn't hit me. They didn't hit me. They let me have it. And I said, "Whoops, I gotta get out of here and find another observation post. They know where I am, and they can keep shooting until they finally accidentally hit me." So one of these corporals, when he got killed, had crawled up on that church steeple where I was. He said, "Captain, me and Holligan want to go with you." I've been to the front many times. "Me and Holligan want to go with you the next time you go out." I said, "Son, you're going to volunteer for something that gets you hurt. Can you believe that?" So I got to thinking, maybe I ought to take someone with me. I was going to find a new observation point. I was going up around here and come back in with an observation point here on the German. Well, I sent word down, and he came up there, and I said, "Tell Holligan, get ready, you go with me tomorrow." So we started out, and we went down this railroad track, which was flanking the German position. Now we were over here, we had this clear to the Rhine River, and got right up in here. And this artillery fire was firing over me all the time. And there's a cut in the road, railroad track. And I thought, well, I'm gonna get down off of this railroad and get in that path down there and get away from the artillery. Stupid. So I got down there in that path, and they had that path mined. And these boys on the railroad track, they're behind me here. That's how I got that, but I never got to the observation post. That's it. And when I stopped this boy, he got in there and he got mine too. The other kid was still on the railroad track. And I said, "Go for help." He stopped, he didn't want to leave, see. I had to order him, and he go. He took off. It's the last I ever saw of him. But help came, took us out of that manfield, set me up against a tree, and took the corporal out back to the first aid station. Those Germans pretty sharp. I never got two Germans together. They'd go from one of these pillboxes to the other, one at a time. Can't waste any ammunition or something like that. But I more or less observed the battalion didn't know the Germans did it. No one in front of me. But they weren't doing anything. They could come in anytime they wanted to. First day in combat, I don't know where they went, where the captain had to be out, got on the reconnaissance, and they captured me. So, A battery short a battery. That was the one, C battery. And that was the one I trained in the first place. So the colonel called me in, he said, you can have your choice, you can stay where you are at Baker Battery, or go back there. Woo! That isn't a nice decision. And about that time, my second command came in to see me. He said, if you leave, by the way, he was a full colonel's son in the regular army. If you leave, I'm going, he had a chance to transfer to headquarters, but I'm going to headquarters. And the man would take that place, they just hated him. And he's the one who took, you heard him talk about him. And so, I want to do, well, if I leave here, they'll lose 5, and they'll have to put up with that lieutenant. So I decided to stay there for the betterment of the men. And he went, they sent this, my ex-officer, I knew they were going to do it, battery commander of C Battery. And he had nothing except misery down there. He just treated him terrible. I heard about it, what much I could do about it. For example, down in Louisiana, it was short on drinking water. So he takes fresh water and washes his feet with it. Stuff like that. You heard him talking about him. And they were just going to send us in there to give us a little experience. And we woke up and run into 2 divisions of SS troops. And I was firing my gun like that, went down like that, on point blank, and ordered everybody ready to move out of there. We were taken. And about that time, the British Second Army would, I forget where they were, but they just accomplished a mission up there, and they came in and saved their necks. So we were firing straight out. In other words, your range comes down as you come in, shell. And I looked out there, I didn't know they were there, that darn Scottish division is what it was. They had come in and taken over that darn area, and I didn't even know they were there. They came out, that sergeant came out in the morning, stood in the middle of the road, those men got in line, never made a sound, and off they went to the front. I never saw anything like it. When I got hurt, I had 2 corporals with me that were just out of this world. And they get companionship when they're bad. And one of them got killed coming to my rescue. He gave his life for me. You don't find that, I think, out in civilian life.
When you lost your leg?
Yeah.
And on the way back, I sent him out first, and then he stopped at the first aid station. He says, tell the captain I'm all right, and if he didn't die.
Well, he went into shock when he did.
Huh?
He went into shock.
Yeah, and the other one got a battlefield promotion. The one that saved it, come in there when I sent for help. I stopped him before he got into the landmine. I got into it first.
So what
I
happened?
said, I'm hit, boy. That one that got killed was like a flash. He started where I was in the landing field. I couldn't. Of course, I didn't know what had hit me or anything. I got hit. First from Prescott, Maine to North Carolina to Texas, East Texas to West Texas to West Texas to Utah.
Utah. Brigham City, Utah.
Huh?
Brigham City, Utah was a hospital veteran. It was not veterans, it was the war victims. Oh, some of them. One fellow was in there and he flew planes and he crashed and he had to lie there. He didn't pass out or anything and watched his arms, both arms burn off.
You got a Purple Heart. You got a Purple Heart though, right?
And Ron Starr.
And
All
Ron's-
that happened
Yeah.
because I was the right place at the right time. But I was very fortunate. My men, I had good men. They seemed to like me a little bit. That helped, I think. You don't do things by yourself. I told you things today that I never talked about for years, right?
No,
But
kids
I
never
thought-
got to hear
the other
it.
reason I figured
They couldn't
I won't be
stand
here to
to
tell you.
think
so
about it.
You might like to hear it from me instead of